There's a fear growing in the chest of millions of men. And it's not the fear of commitment like people always say. It's the fear of building an entire family, loving with everything you have, dedicating yourself body and soul, and suddenly waking up one day, unable to see your own children. It's the fear of working like crazy to support a household, attending every recital, coaching your son's soccer team every Saturday, and after a separation being reduced to that guy who shows up twice a month. It's not laziness, it's not immaturity, it's genuine terror. Terror of becoming that dad who cries alone in his car after the ex invents yet another excuse for why he can't pick up the kids this weekend. Terror of hearing your little son repeating lies that mom told him, saying, "Daddy left because he didn't love us." And the worst part? Every man knows at least one guy who's living this nightmare right now. It's not an internet story. It's not an exaggeration. It's the co-worker. It's the brother. It's the cousin. It's the childhood friend destroyed because the system simply decided that dad is optional. The pain that's making men give up doesn't just come from fear of the future, it comes from the present too. It comes from taking your 5-year-old daughter to the park and feeling mother's stares watching you like you're a pervert. It comes from needing to take your little girl to the public restroom and having to explain, justify yourself, endure dirty looks as if taking care of your own daughter were suspicious. It comes from every time you say you want to have a traditional family, where the man provides and the woman takes care of the home, not because of sexism, but because you saw it work in your grandparents' house and being called backward, toxic, oppressive. It comes from realizing that any characteristic of yours that doesn't fit what they want from you will be labeled as toxic masculinity. You want to lead? Toxic. Want to have an opinion on how to raise your child? Controlling. Stay quiet and let her decide everything? Negligent and absent. There's no way to win. And when you try to talk about this, about how you're feeling suffocated, misunderstood, without a place, they tell you to grow up, stop whining, or worse, they say you're afraid of a strong, independent woman. What's really hurting is this feeling that you don't matter, that your role is just to pay the bills, agree with everything, and be happy with the scraps of attention and respect they throw you. Men are tired of being treated as supporting characters in their own children's lives, as a walking ATM that has obligations but no rights, as a potential threat even when they just want to love and protect their family. They're tired of seeing other men, good men, present fathers, get crushed by the system after divorce, losing everything they built, being separated from their children, and still being painted as the villains of the story. And they're doing the math. Is it worth risking all this? Is it worth opening your heart, building a life, having children you could lose at any moment? The answer more and more men are giving is no. Not because they became bad, but because they finally understood that in a game where only one side can lose everything, the smartest move is not to play. And as long as society doesn't look at this pain for real, without judging, without dismissing, without calling it weakness, this entire generation of men will continue choosing solitude instead of the risk of having their heart and life shattered by a system that was never on their side. But here on this channel, men have space. Here your pain is valid, your story matters, and nobody will call you weak for feeling what you're feeling. So stay with me until the end, because among all these reasons I just mentioned, I'm going to reveal 8 more devastating reasons why men are giving up on having children and a traditional family. From now on, you'll hear everything the media hides from you, the hidden truth that many fear to speak openly. That's why subscribe to the channel immediately, turn on notifications, leave your like and comment. Together we are stronger, so the algorithm pushes this video to more men who are blind to reality. It's no use waking up alone, we need to create a network of aware and informed men. Now let's get to what really matters. First reason, men are labeled as controlling for wanting traditional family structure. You know what's one of the biggest traps men fall into today? It's simply saying what they think about family. A guy meets a woman, they start dating seriously, and at some point he lays it out. Look, I dream of having a traditional family. I work, support the household, and you take care of the kids and the home. It's not about you being inferior, it's about each person doing what they do best. Done. The bomb exploded. Immediately he's labeled as sexist, backward, controlling, oppressive. It doesn't matter that his grandparents lived 50 happy years in that model. It doesn't matter that he saw it work. It doesn't matter that it's a legitimate lifestyle preference. He now carries the label of problematic man. And the craziest part? that same woman who called him controlling will post on Instagram looking for a provider man who supports the family, who's a protector. But when the guy says exactly that in clear terms, he becomes the villain. It's an impossible game to win. What's happening is that men are realizing that any worldview that doesn't fit perfectly into the modern narrative is automatically demonized. You want to be the family leader? Controlling. Want to make decisions together but have the final say on some things like your parents had? Dictator. Want a wife who prioritizes family over career? Oppressor who wants to trap women at home? And then the man looks around and sees he can't be traditional because it's toxic, but he also can't be too modern because then he's not man enough. He's trapped in limbo where any move is wrong. So the simplest solution, don't enter that game. Don't get married. Don't have kids. Don't build a family. Because if you can't even express the kind of life you want without being judged, condemned, and labeled, why on earth would you risk building something that can be destroyed at any moment, precisely because you had the audacity to want something different from what society decided is acceptable? Second reason, total loss of empathy in gender relations. Empathy between men and women has simply disappeared, and this is no exaggeration. Think with me, when a woman says she's overloaded with work and home, everyone runs to support her. They create groups, run campaigns, talk about mental load, about female exhaustion, and that's right, she deserves support. Now flip the coin. A man says he's working 12 hours a day, that he's tired, that he feels nobody recognizes his effort, that he's feeling used just as a financial provider. You know what the response is? Welcome to the real world. Stop complaining. Men have to handle pressure. His pain isn't validated. His tiredness doesn't matter. His emotional suffering is treated as weakness or whining. And then this same man is demanded to be emotionally available, to open up, to talk about feelings, but when he talks, he's ignored, minimized, or ridiculed. How do you expect a man to open up emotionally in an environment where every time he shows vulnerability, he's punished for it? This lack of empathy is killing any possibility of real partnership. Men are realizing that their emotional needs don't matter, that they can be destroyed inside, but if they're not paying the bills and solving problems, they have no value. A guy can be dealing with depression, anxiety, dark thoughts, but if he cries in front of his partner, there's a real chance she'll lose attraction to him, start seeing him as weak. This isn't theory, this happens every day. Therapists report this constantly, men who opened up emotionally and watch their relationships crumble shortly after. So the man learns quickly, keep everything inside, become a machine, provide, solve, endure silently, and then he's criticized for not opening up. It's a vicious cycle where he's never right, and when there's no empathy, when your pain isn't recognized, when you're just a tool with ignored feelings, why would you continue investing in that type of relationship? Men are giving up because they realized nobody really cares about what they feel, only what they can provide. Third reason, fathers are prevented from seeing children for months in separation cases. This one hurts in a way that those who haven't experienced it can't even imagine. Do you know any man who separated and suddenly went months without seeing his kids? I bet you do. And I bet you saw that man withering away, losing weight, with deep dark circles, looking like a zombie. Because that's exactly what happens when they rip your children from you. The guy was present, participated in everything, took them to school, helped with homework, played every day. Then comes the separation, and suddenly he becomes a visitor. A visitor in his own children's lives. And when he tries to exercise the visitation rights the judge gave him, the excuses start. The child has a cold, there's a birthday party, not feeling well today, sleeping. Next week, same thing. Next month, same thing. And he can't do anything. Calls the lawyer, file a motion, but it'll take a few months for the judge to review. Months. Meanwhile, the kids grow up without him, forget his smell, start thinking dad doesn't care. It's psychological torture that no human being should go through. And you know what's worse? The system does nothing. Absolutely nothing. If the man is late on child support, within 48 hours there's an arrest warrant. But if the mother prevents visitation for months, years, nothing happens to her. At most a warning, a ridiculous fine that's never actually collected. The man follows everything perfectly, pays child support on time, never missed, follows every rule of the agreement, and is still punished with the absence of his children. Meanwhile, he sees the photos on her Instagram with the kids, traveling, smiling, living the life he helps pay for but from which he's excluded. This destroys a man inside, and every single man sees this happening around him, sees friends suffering, sees cousins, co-worker, and then he thinks, why would I put myself in that position? Why would I have kids if there's a real chance I'll be ripped from their lives and won't be able to do absolutely anything? It's a father's most primitive fear, losing his children, and today that fear is completely justified. So men are choosing not to have children, because it's better not to have them than to have them and lose them. Fourth reason, ex-wives lie to children saying dad abandoned them. Children are turned against fathers through manipulation. There's a cruelty in this world that's hard to even put into words. It's when a mother uses the children as a weapon against the father. I'm not talking about isolated cases. I'm talking about a silent epidemic of parental alienation that's happening right now, at this moment in thousands of homes. The father separates. Often it was she who wanted the separation, and then the smear campaign begins. She tells the kids, your dad left because he didn't love us. He chose his life over you. He doesn't want to know about you, that's why he doesn't come visit. But the truth? The guy is desperate trying to see the kids, being blocked at every attempt, sending messages that aren't answered, calling and nobody picks up. The children grow up believing they were abandoned, when in reality, the father is fighting tooth and nail to be present. And the worst part is that when he finally manages to see the kids, they're cold, distant, even angry at him, because they spent months hearing lies. This isn't just wrong, it's diabolical, because it destroys 3 lives at once. It destroys the father, who loses the bond with his children. It destroys the children who grow up without a paternal reference and with abandonment trauma, and ironically destroys part of the mother herself, who's raising children full of resentment, but the system allows it. Lawyers tell you it's hard to prove parental alienation. Judges take years to evaluate. Court psychologists cost a fortune. Meanwhile, the brainwashing continues. And when men see this happening to other guys, when they see children being used as weapons, as instruments of revenge, as bargaining chips, they think, I'll never allow this to happen to me. And the only guaranteed way not to go through this is not to have children. Is it sad? Yes. Yes. Is it unfair to the children who could be born? Yes. But self-preservation speaks louder. No man wants to feel the pain of having a child look at you with hatred because of lies that were shoved into their little head. So they choose not to have them, and the entire society loses. Fifth reason, society views fathers in parks with children with suspicion. Imagine the scene. Sunny Saturday morning, you take your 4-year-old daughter to the neighborhood playground. She's happy, playing on the slide. You're right there beside her, watching, smiling, taking pictures. Then you notice, the mothers who are there start looking at you. It's not a normal look, it's that surveillance look of distrust. They whisper among themselves. Some get closer to their own children, as if protecting themselves from a threat. And the threat is you. You who are just being a dad. You who just want to see your daughter happy on the swing. You feel on your skin that you're being treated as suspicious. Some mothers even ask your daughter, do you know this man? Is he really your dad? As if any man alone with a child were automatically a potential predator. You leave there feeling dirty, ashamed, angry, sad. And all you did was be a dad. All you did was take your daughter to play. This happens every day with fathers across this country. And it goes beyond the park. It happens at the mall, at the beach, at the plaza, at any public place. Fathers are watched with suspicion just for being with their own children. It's as if society decided that man plus child danger until proven otherwise. And the father internalizes this. He starts avoiding certain situations. Avoids taking his daughter alone to some places, avoids helping a lost child because he could be accused of something, even avoids showing too much affection in public because it could be misinterpreted. He keeps withdrawing, censoring himself, creating barriers in his own relationship with his children out of fear of being judged, accused, defamed. And the guy who's thinking about being a father sees this and thinks, seriously, I'm going to have to live with this pressure. Seriously, I'm going to be treated as a threat for loving my own child. It's not paranoia, it's not weakness, it's real. And it's driving men away from fatherhood because nobody wants to live under constant suspicion just for existing near children. Sixth reason, fathers receive disapproving looks when taking daughters to the bathroom. This situation here is so absurd that if you haven't lived it, it seems like a lie. But every father of a girl has been through this. You're at a restaurant, at a mall, at an event, and your little daughter needs to use the bathroom. She's 3, 4, 5 years old, still not old enough to go alone to the women's restroom. What do? You take her to the men's room with you, and then the stares begin. Men looking at you sideways as if you were a pervert. Some even make comments. That's not right. Where's this child's mother? What a weird situation. You have to explain, justify yourself, say you're the father, that you're alone with her today, that she's too young to go alone. And even then you feel the judgment, the disapproval. You're literally taking care of your daughter's basic hygiene and being treated as if you were doing something inappropriate. Or worse, you need to ask some strange woman for help to take your daughter to the women's restroom because you can't go in there, and your daughter gets scared to go with a stranger, and it becomes an awkward situation for everyone. This type of everyday situation keeps showing the man that society doesn't trust him as a father, that even in the most basic and innocent tasks of paternal care, he's viewed with suspicion. Some places even put baby changing tables only in the women's restroom, as if fathers don't change diapers. It's the constant subliminal message, you don't belong here, taking care of children isn't your place, you're an anomaly, a potential threat, and this wears you down. One father reported that he stopped going out alone with his little daughter because he was tired of always having to prove he was the father, of always being looked at with distrust, of always feeling under scrutiny. What kind of sadness is this? What kind of society creates barriers between fathers and children this way? And what man seeing this will think, wow, I can't wait to live this experience? None. Men are seeing that being a father nowadays comes with a package of automatic distrust, of having to prove your innocence constantly, of being presumed guilty until proven innocent, and more they're deciding it's not worth it. 7th reason, cultural narrative treats men as potential threats to their own children. The propaganda is everywhere. Turn on the TV, commercial shows mom lovingly caring for children, while dad is the clumsy clown who doesn't even know how to change a diaper. Open Netflix documentary about child abuse, focusing almost exclusively on men as perpetrators. Go to a school, talk about child safety. 90% is about teaching children to be careful with inappropriate touching by adults, and the examples always involve male figures. The message culture is sending is clear. Men are dangerous, even with their own children. Even well-intentioned fathers need to be watched. Don't trust a man alone with a child. This narrative is so ingrained it's become common sense. People don't even question it anymore. They just assume the risk comes from the male side of the equation. And the data? Well, the data shows that mothers are statistically more likely to abuse children than fathers. Boyfriends and stepfathers, not biological fathers, represent the greatest risk. But these facts don't matter when the narrative is already established. The psychological damage from this is profound. Fathers start doubting themselves. Can I bathe my daughter, or is that weird? Can I let my son sleep in my bed when he has a nightmare, or will they think it's strange? Will showing physical affection, hugs, kisses on the forehead, be misinterpreted? It's sick for a father to have to censor natural displays of love out of fear of judgment, but it's reality, and men who aren't fathers yet are paying attention. They see that if they become fathers, they'll automatically enter a category of potential suspect, that every gesture will be analyzed, every moment alone with the child will be questioned, every display of affection will be scrutinized. Who wants to live like that? Who wants to have children knowing that society itself will treat you as a threat to them? Fatherhood should be joy, pride, unconditional love, but culture has transformed it into a minefield where one wrong step, one misinterpretation can destroy your life. So men are saying, no thanks. I won't participate in this game where I'm losing before I even start. 8th reason, toxic masculinity is used for any inconvenient masculine trait. This term became the perfect weapon to disqualify any masculine behavior that isn't convenient. You're competitive? Toxic masculinity. You want to solve problems instead of just listening to complaints? Toxic masculinity. You don't cry watching romantic movies? Toxic masculinity, repressing emotions. You cry? Weak man. You're assertive and make decisions? Controlling. You're easygoing and let the woman decide? No initiative. You like sports, barbecue and beer with friends? Toxic masculinity. You care about your appearance and are more sensitive. Not a real man. See? There's no way to win. Any typically masculine characteristic can be labeled as toxic when convenient. And the worst part, the term is never applied with nuance. They're not talking about genuinely problematic behaviors like violence or abuse. They're talking about normal, natural masculine traits that suddenly became pathology just because they don't fit the model of man they want to create. This is creating a generation of confused men without identity, not knowing what they can or can't be. Every natural instinct is questioned. Every behavior is analyzed through this lens of, is this toxic? And what happens? Men stop being authentic. They become diluted versions of themselves, always afraid of being labeled. And even then it doesn't work, because then they're accused of not being man enough. And men who are considering starting a family look at this and think, I'm going to raise a child in this environment, where everything I naturally am will be called toxic, where I'll have to teach my son to be ashamed of his own masculinity. They don't want to, and you can't blame them, because starting a family means passing on values, means teaching by example, means being a role model. But how are you going to be a role model when everything you are can be attacked as problematic? How are you going to raise a healthy son when masculinity itself is treated as a disease? Men are giving up because they realize that in a world that hates masculinity, being a father means preparing to watch your son be psychologically destroyed for simply being a boy. If this video made sense to you, leave a like, subscribe to the channel and comment gratitude. This helps the algorithm spread this message to other men who need to know the teachings of our channel. Each interaction strengthens this mission to open eyes and restore male self-esteem. Thank you for being here. Keep following, because every week we bring reflections and tools to help you regain emotional control and become your best version. Big hug, and see you in the next video.